Alex's day had been long, longer than he ever remembered. The space station hummed softly around him, its lights casting a bluish glow over the metal walls, the pipes, and the panels of blinking buttons. He had been working in the engineering section since sunrise, fixing a failing power relay that had already caused the station to go into emergency mode twice. Sweat ran down his forehead under his helmet as he wiped it with the back of his sleeve. He hated wearing helmets, but rules were rules. The station was crowded with humans and aliens alike. Diplomats, traders, engineers, scientists, all busy with their own duties. Alex liked the chaos. It reminded him of Earth's busy cities. But today he felt distracted. It was not the workload, nor the heat, nor even the noise. It was Lyra. Lyra was unlike anyone Alex had ever met. She was an alien from the planet Cerulia, a diplomatic envoy for her species, visiting the station to negotiate trade agreements and alliances. Her skin shimmered faintly under the lights. Her eyes were large and deep blue, and her hair, or what humans would call hair, flowed in a way that seemed almost alive. She walked with grace, even through the crowded corridors, and her presence drew glances from everyone. Alex was no exception. He shook his head, trying to focus on the circuit board in front of him. "Stop thinking about her," he muttered to himself. But thoughts had a way of escaping his control, especially after a long day and a few skipped meals. He adjusted a loose panel and stood back to inspect his work. "Alex!" came a voice behind him. He turned quickly. Lyra was walking toward him, carrying a tablet filled with data about the station's systems. She looked spectacular. Alex swallowed hard, and then, without thinking, without filtering his thoughts even slightly, he said aloud, "She has an amazing, figure." Immediately the words left his mouth, and Alex's brain screamed, "Why did you say that out loud?" Lyra froze mid-step. Her wide eyes locked onto his. The corridor, usually noisy with chatter and mechanical hums, suddenly felt silent. Alex felt his face burn. His heart pounded so hard he was sure she could hear it. Around them, a few engineers glanced over, eyebrows raised, unsure if they had heard correctly. "Oh no," Alex muttered under his breath. "Oh no, oh no, oh no." Lyra tilted her head, studying him carefully. She did not shout. She did not glare. She did not even look offended. She just looked curious. That only made Alex's panic worse. I didn't mean, he stammered, waving his hands in useless gestures. "I was thinking, and it just slipped out." Lyra raised one elegant eyebrow. "You were thinking what?" she asked, her voice calm and musical. She stepped closer, and Alex took a small step back, forgetting that stepping too far could make him stumble over the equipment. Alex swallowed hard. "Nothing. I wasn't. Humans speak aloud what they think," she interrupted, tilting her head even more. Alex blinked. "Is this normal for your species?" He froze. Did she just ask if humans talk about their thoughts openly? He was about to explain, but the words came out too quickly. "Not usually. No, sometimes we, well, I didn't mean to say it. I just..." Lyra laughed. It was soft, not mocking, not cruel, just a quiet, curious laugh. Alex felt like he might fall over. No one had ever laughed at one of his mistakes before. Not like this. His brain scrambled for a response, but every thought dissolved into panic. "Your reaction is unusual," Lyra said. She folded her arms elegantly, still smiling slightly. "Most would have been offended. Some would even have reported you to the station security." Alex swallowed hard. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it, I swear." Lyra tilted her head. "I am not offended," she said slowly, deliberately. "I am intrigued." Alex's mind spun. Intrigued? Not angry, not upset, not shouting? What did that even mean? "You intrigued?" he asked, his voice cracking. "Yes," she said, stepping closer, her eyes fixed on his. It is rare for a human to speak so freely. Most of you think first, then speak. You did not. Alex blinked. I didn't think? He asked, though he knew the answer. Lyra nodded. Yes, you are honest in a way most do not understand. It is unusual, fascinating. Alex tried to process her words. Honest? Fascinating? He felt his ears heat up again, but this time it was not pure panic. It was confusion and maybe even a little hope. I didn't mean to, he started again. Relax, Lyra said, a small smile forming on her lips. You are human. I can see it. Your mistakes are part of who you are. They are interesting. Alex took a shaky breath. He had expected anger, embarrassment, or even formal reprimand. Instead, he got fascination. He was too stunned to respond. Well, Lyra continued, glancing down at the tablet she held. Since you seem to be a human of unusual honesty, I wish to ask you something. Alex's stomach dropped. He had survived. The embarrassment of speaking his thoughts aloud only to be asked a question now. He nodded slowly. Oh, okay. Anything. Lyra smiled faintly. Come with me. I want to speak in private. Alex's mind raced. Private? Alone? With her? On top of everything? Oh no. Oh no. He followed her down the corridor, careful not to trip over the cables or equipment. Other aliens and humans glanced at them as they passed, but Lyra did not seem to notice or care. Alex felt tiny and nervous beside her tall, elegant form. They entered a quiet observation room, a place filled with glass panels looking out into space. Stars glittered like diamonds against the dark void. Alex tried to focus on the view, to calm his nerves, but he could not. Lyra turned to him, her eyes still calm and curious. Sit, she said, gesturing to the chairs near the window. Alex obeyed, his hands fidgeting in his lap. You are very different from what I expected, she said, settling gracefully into the chair across from him. I thought humans would be cautious, careful, perhaps even secretive. But you speak without filter. It is rare. Why? Alex stared at her, unsure how to answer. He wanted to say, I didn't mean to, it just slipped out, but that sounded weak. He wanted to explain himself properly, to make sense, but words failed him. I don't know, he admitted finally. I guess I just think too much in my head, and sometimes it comes out wrong. I didn't mean to offend anyone. Lyra nodded thoughtfully. I see. Honesty, even when unintentional, is appreciated in my culture. Most of my species would not have understood your words. They would have judged you immediately. Alex blinked. Judged me? Yes. Humans are unusual. You do not follow our rules of decorum naturally. That is, refreshing. She smiled again. Do not be afraid. You have not offended me. Not at all. Alex felt a small wave of relief. Really? You're sure? Lyra leaned forward slightly. Yes, in fact, I want to understand more about your species. Humans think differently. You express differently, you feel differently. That is interesting to me. Alex's nervousness began to fade, replaced with curiosity. He had never met an alien who wanted to understand him instead of judging him. I can try to explain, he said slowly. Lyra's smile widened. Good. Tell me, Alex, what do you think about when you speak freely? What drives these thoughts? Alex thought for a moment, still nervous but encouraged by her patience. I usually notice things, people, places. I think about them in ways that don't always make sense, and sometimes I say them without thinking. Lyra nodded, listening carefully. And when you said what you said earlier, about me, Alex's stomach flipped again. I didn't mean it like that, I just noticed, and it slipped out. I am so sorry. Lyra laughed softly again. It is not necessary to apologize. You are human. You did what humans do. I found it honest. That is rare. Alex blinked. Honest. Rare. Fascinating. He could not believe it. What had started as the most embarrassing moment of his life had turned into something completely different. Thank you, he whispered, unsure if he meant it for himself or for her understanding. Lyra smiled warmly. You may stay, Alex. We will speak more. I am curious about your thoughts, your species, your mind. Alex nodded slowly, a nervous grin breaking onto his face. He still felt embarrassed, but now that embarrassment mixed with something new, a strange sense of hope and excitement. The stars outside the observation window seemed to shimmer brighter that night, as if reflecting the start of something unexpected. And for the first time all day, Alex felt a little proud of being human. The observation room felt quiet now, the only sound being the soft hum of the space station systems. Alex still could not believe what had just happened. In the span of a few minutes, he had embarrassed himself in front of one of the most important alien diplomats on the station, and yet, instead of anger or outrage, Lyra had shown curiosity and calmness. He fidgeted in his chair, unsure whether to speak or stay silent. Lyra, meanwhile, rested her hands on her lap, her posture elegant and composed, her eyes fixed on him. Alex felt a mixture of nervousness and awe. So, Lyra began, her voice gentle but firm, you humans are honest in ways that surprise others. Why is that? Alex blinked. He had expected many questions from her species about technology, diplomacy, or even the station systems. But this? This was personal and complicated. He scratched the back of his head. I think humans just... Sometimes we don't hide what we feel. We try most of the time. But sometimes it comes out wrong like now, he said, gesturing awkwardly to himself. Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly, but not in suspicion. She seemed to be analyzing him, studying every movement, every word. So your thoughts come before your judgment. That is unusual, she said. Most of my species would measure every word, every thought before speaking. You do not. Alex nodded quickly. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. I didn't mean to, it just slipped out. His voice rose slightly as he tried to explain himself. He ran a hand through his hair, feeling even more embarrassed as he remembered what he had said. Lyra tilted her head, considering his words. Interesting, she murmured. And yet you are aware of your mistake, you feel regret. That means you understand social rules even if you do not always follow them. Alex's stomach twisted. She made it sound so simple, almost logical, and yet he could feel the weight of his embarrassment pressing down on him. Yes, he said softly. I feel terrible about it. I just didn't know how to stop it. Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. And yet it was honest. That is rare. I have met humans before, of course, but none like you. You speak freely, and you feel strongly. It is intriguing. Alex's mind spun. Intriguing? Him? The same man who had just spoken the most embarrassing words in the station? He opened his mouth to respond, but Lyra held up a finger. Do not interrupt. Let me explain why your words are interesting to me. She leaned back slightly, her gaze softening. Most beings in the galaxy guard their thoughts. They hide what they feel. Honesty is often punished or ignored, yet you have a courage in your honesty. Even mistakes show who you are. That is admirable. Alex swallowed. He felt both relieved and nervous. I didn't think of it that way, he admitted. I just panicked. Precisely, Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. Even in panic you reveal truth that is rare. She paused, then added, most of my people would have reacted with anger, fear, or formal complaint. But you are human, and your reaction is natural. Alex nodded slowly, still trying to digest her words. He had always thought of honesty as simple and expected, but hearing her describe it as rare, as something admirable, made him feel strangely proud. He had never considered that being himself, even in the worst moments, could be seen as a strength. Lyra studied him silently for a few moments, as if weighing something. Then she spoke again, softer this time. "Tell me, Alex, do you often speak your thoughts without thinking?" Alex laughed nervously. "No, not usually. I try to be careful. I really do. But sometimes, it just happens. Especially when I'm nervous or distracted." Lyra nodded, seemingly satisfied. "And what did you feel when you spoke just now? Fear, embarrassment, or something else?" "Fear. Mostly," Alex admitted. "Embarrassment, too. I mean, everyone heard me. I thought I'd be in trouble. I still think I'll be in trouble." Lyra chuckled softly, a sound that made Alex's heart skip a beat. "You are human. You worry about social consequences. That is understandable. But your reaction, it shows you care about others' feelings. That is a quality I value." Alex blinked. You value it?" he asked, unsure if he had heard correctly. "Yes," Lyra said firmly. "In my experience, honesty without consideration is reckless, but honesty with regret, that is a rare combination. You are fascinating, Alex." Alex could feel his cheeks heating up again. Fascinating. He was still embarrassed, still nervous, but now there was something else too, a spark of hope. For the first time since his mistake, he felt that maybe the situation could turn out better than he imagined. Thank you," he said softly, unsure what else to say. Lyra nodded. "Do not thank me. I am intrigued, yes, and curious, that is all. Tell me more about humans, Alex, about your ways, your culture, your thoughts. I wish to understand why you are different." Alex hesitated. Talking about humans was not easy. He was not a diplomat, not a scholar, not an expert in cultural studies. But he realized that she did not expect perfection. She wanted honesty, and he could do that. "Well," he began slowly, choosing his words carefully, "humans are complicated. We feel many things at once, we think quickly, but sometimes we act slowly. We try to understand each other, but we don't always succeed, and we speak what we feel even when it's awkward or wrong. Sometimes that gets us in trouble." Lyra nodded. "Yes, that is what I observed. You are complex, honest, yet careful, nervous yet brave." Alex felt a small smile forming. I suppose that's one way to put it." "It is accurate," Lyra said, leaning back slightly. "And it is unusual. Most beings I meet follow rules, hide feelings, guard thoughts. You do not always do that. That is admirable." Alex laughed nervously. I never thought of it as admirable. I just am me, I guess." Lyra's eyes sparkled faintly. "Being yourself. That is rare in the galaxy, Alex. Many hide behind masks, even around their friends and colleagues. You reveal yourself, even by accident. That takes courage." Alex felt a strange warmth spread through him. No one had ever described him like that before. Courage, admirable, fascinating. He had made a huge mistake, yet she spoke of it as if it were a strength. I still feel embarrassed," he admitted, laughing nervously. "I mean, I said something very personal, out loud. It was wrong." Lyra shook her head. "It is not wrong. It is human. And humans are unique. You have shown me something about your species that no one else has. That is valuable. That is beyond my expectations." Alex blinked, unable to believe what he was hearing. He had expected anger, judgment, maybe even punishment. Instead, Lyra was praising him for being honest, for being human. "So, you're not angry?" he asked cautiously. Angry? Lyra echoed, tilting her head. Why would I be angry? You did not harm me. You revealed truth, even if accidentally. That is rare. That is worth understanding. Alex nodded slowly, still trying to calm his racing heart. I suppose that makes sense. It's just, I never expected this reaction. Most do not, Lyra said softly. That is why I am intrigued. You are human, yes, but you are also honest, nervous, brave. That combination fascinates me. Alex laughed quietly, shaking his head. I don't know what to say. Say nothing, Lyra said gently. Just be yourself. That is enough. For now, it is enough to speak freely. We will see where your honesty leads. Alex felt a small surge of hope. For the first time, he realized that a mistake, even one as embarrassing as this, could lead to something positive. He had revealed a truth about himself, and instead of judgment, he had been met with curiosity and respect. He took a deep breath. Okay, I'll try. I'll be honest, even if it's awkward. Lyra smiled, a soft, approving smile. Good. That is all I ask, Alex. Let us begin again. Not as teacher and student, not as diplomat and engineer, but as two beings, trying to understand each other. Alex nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief, excitement, and nervousness. This was not how he had imagined his day going. A single thought spoken by accident had created a moment he would never forget. And somehow it was the beginning of something unexpected. Outside the observation room, the space station continued its hum of activity. Lights blinked, alarms remained silent, and the stars shone in the distance. Inside, Alex and Lyra sat across from each other, two very different beings learning about honesty, curiosity, and the unexpected paths that could come from a single, unfiltered thought. And Alex realized, maybe mistakes were not always disasters. Sometimes they were the start of something extraordinary. After that unforgettable conversation in the observation room, Alex felt a mixture of relief, nervous excitement, and curiosity he had never experienced before. The embarrassment of speaking his thoughts aloud about Lyra had not disappeared entirely, but now it was accompanied by a strange feeling of connection. Lyra, the alien diplomat who seemed so poised and untouchable, had treated him with curiosity instead of anger. She had seen his mistake not as a failure, but as an insight into who he was as a human. For the next few days, Alex found himself thinking about that conversation constantly. He went back to his duties in engineering, repairing the station's power systems, checking circuits and recalibrating control panels, but his mind always wandered to Lyra. Every time she passed by, he felt a mix of nerves and anticipation. He realized he wanted to understand her as much as she wanted to understand him. It was early morning on the station's upper deck when Lyra approached him again. The station's corridors were busy with engineers and traders hurrying to their posts, the lights reflecting off the metal walls. Alex had been fixing a panel near the docking bay, carefully reconnecting energy conduits. Alex? Lyra said softly, but firmly, catching his attention. He looked up and almost dropped his tools. She was standing there, her posture relaxed, but confident, her tablet tucked under one arm. Yes? Alex asked, trying to sound casual, though his voice betrayed his nervousness. You worked late yesterday, Lyra said, tilting her head. I hope you did not overexert yourself. Alex shook his head quickly. No, I'm fine, just wanted to make sure the system was stable. Lyra's eyes softened. Good. Responsibility is admirable, but remember, Alex, even humans must rest. He nodded, feeling a warmth in his chest at her concern. It was strange. He was used to aliens being formal, distant, or even intimidating. Lyra was none of those things with him. She seemed genuinely interested in his well-being. I wanted to speak with you, Lyra continued, stepping closer. If you have time. Alex wiped his hands on a cloth, trying to appear calm. Of course, wherever you want. She led him to a quieter part of the station, a small laboratory filled with screens, instruments, and holographic displays. The view from the window showed a vast stretch of stars, their light glimmering against the station's hull. Alex felt a mixture of awe and nervousness. Every moment with Lyra was a mixture of fascination and tension. "Alex," she began, setting her tablet down on a nearby console. "I wish to understand humans better. You have shown me an aspect I had not expected. Your honesty, your spontaneity, your courage in revealing your thoughts. I wish to know more about why humans act this way." Alex blinked. He had never expected to be asked such questions by a high-ranking diplomat. Most aliens would have spoken in complex diplomatic language, with formal protocols, not genuine curiosity. He took a deep breath. "Well," he started slowly, "humans are complicated. We feel many things at once, and we react in ways that don't always make sense, even to us. We think, we feel, and sometimes we speak without realizing how it might sound. I guess it's because we care, even if it doesn't always come out right." Lyra listened carefully, her eyes fixed on him. "So humans speak honestly because you feel strongly?" "Yes," Alex said, gaining a little confidence. "We speak because it's natural. Sometimes it's awkward. Sometimes it's wrong, but it's how we show what we feel." Lyra's expression softened. "Fascinating. And yet, despite your awareness of social norms, you still sometimes speak without filter." Alex nodded. "Exactly. And sometimes it gets me into trouble." He chuckled nervously, thinking of the earlier incident. "Like with you, actually." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "Yes, that was memorable." Alex laughed, softly shaking his head. "Memorable is one word for it. I was terrified." "You were nervous," Lyra said, tilting her head, "and yet you did not lie. That is rare. Most beings, even humans, hide their mistakes or try to cover them up. You do not." Alex felt a small rush of pride. "I guess I can't always help it. I'm honest, even when I shouldn't be." Lyra leaned back slightly, her gaze thoughtful. "That honesty, it reveals something essential about humans. Strength, courage, vulnerability. It is admirable." Alex swallowed. No one had ever described him that way before. Honest, brave, admirable. Not clumsy, not foolish, not a nuisance. Her words made him feel important. "Alex," she said after a pause, "would you explain your thoughts on trust? On friendship?" Alex paused. Trust? Friendship? He had never been asked that by an alien, and yet her calm curiosity made him want to answer. "Humans trust slowly," he said. "We look for signs, for consistency. We try to see if someone's words match their actions. And friendship, it's built on honesty, shared experiences, and caring for each other. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it happens quickly, but honesty is always part of it." Lyra nodded. "I see. That is insightful. Your species values honesty highly, and yet you also recognize mistakes and regret them. That combination is fascinating." Alex laughed softly. "You keep saying that. Fascinating. I think it's a polite way of saying I am embarrassed, myself." Lyra smiled faintly. "Perhaps, but embarrassment is a human response. It is natural, and it teaches humility, reflection, and awareness. All qualities I find admirable." Alex shook his head in disbelief. "I can't believe I'm being praised for embarrassing myself." "You are not being praised for the embarrassment," Lyra corrected gently. "You are being praised for your honesty, your courage to reveal yourself, and your willingness to learn. That is rare in the galaxy." Alex felt a small warmth in his chest. For the first time, he realized that a single, unguarded moment could lead to understanding and connection. It was not just about what he had said, but about how he had responded, how he had shown his true self. Lyra stood, walking slowly to the large window. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the station, their distant light glittering like tiny diamonds. "Alex," she said softly, "I wish to see more of your species. Not just humans in theory, but humans in practice. Your reactions, your courage, your honesty. I wish to observe and understand." Alex hesitated. "You want to watch me?" "In a sense," Lyra said, her voice calm. "I wish to work alongside you, observe your methods, your decisions, your actions. It will help me understand humans better. And perhaps it will help you understand yourself better." Alex's mind spun. He had expected formal assignments, technical tasks, maybe even lectures. But this was personal, almost intimate in a way that did not make him uncomfortable. I think I can do that," he said cautiously. Lyra turned to him, her eyes thoughtful. "Good. We will start with something simple. You will help me with a repair task in the docking bay. It is not dangerous, but it requires skill and judgment. Observe your methods and I will ask questions. You will explain your reasoning." Alex nodded, feeling both nervous and excited. He had repaired countless systems on the station, but now he would do so under the scrutiny of a being whose culture and intellect fascinated him. He felt a surge of responsibility. As they walked together to the docking bay, Alex noticed how differently he felt around Lyra. The nervous energy that had once made him stumble now gave him focus. He wanted to show her not just his technical skill, but his thought process, his honesty, and his courage. The docking bay was alive with activity. Engineers moved with precision, drones floated past, and maintenance crews adjusted docking clamps. Alex and Lyra approached a malfunctioning module near one of the smaller docking bays. The module controlled environmental regulation for incoming ships. "This module," Alex began, kneeling to inspect it, "has a misaligned power conduit. It's causing energy fluctuations and temperature inconsistencies." Lyra observed quietly, her eyes studying his movements and gestures. "Explain each step," she said softly. "Why you do what you do." Alex nodded, focusing on the task. "First, I check the conduit for loose connections. That's a common cause of fluctuation. Then I isolate the affected circuits so that repairs do not affect other systems. After that, I reconnect and test, watching for anomalies. Finally, I recalibrate the module to restore normal function." Lyra nodded at each explanation, her gaze never leaving him. "And if the test fails," she asked, "then I go back, review each connection, check sensors, and look for hidden faults. I repeat until it works. It's a process, but thoroughness prevents mistakes." Lyra's lips curved slightly. "That is logical and yet human. You combine analysis with intuition. That is rare." Alex felt his chest swell with pride. She appreciated not only his skill but his thought process, his honesty about each step. For the first time, he felt that being himself was enough. Hours passed as they worked together. Alex explained his reasoning and Lyra asked questions, not in judgment but in curiosity. They discovered small issues in the module, fixed them, and finally restored full function. The system hummed steadily, light stabilizing. Lyra stepped back, her eyes reflecting satisfaction. "Well done, Alex. You handled this task with skill, honesty, and patience. I am impressed." Alex laughed softly, exhausted but exhilarated. "Thank you. I learned from working with you too. You ask questions that make me think in ways I never thought of." Lyra's smile was quiet, warm, and approving. "That is mutual. Understanding requires openness from both sides. You have shown that today." The next mission began early the following day. Alex woke up in his small quarters on the station, still thinking about the previous conversations with Lyra. The memory of her curiosity, her calm laughter, and her unusual praise stayed with him. He had never felt such a strange mixture of nervousness and excitement. Today he would work with her again, and this time it would not just be a repair task, It would be a real challenge. The station's command center had issued an urgent alert. One of the smaller orbital satellites responsible for regulating communications between nearby colonies had suffered a major system failure. If the satellite went offline, communications across several sectors would be disrupted. The Council had chosen Alex and Lyra to travel to the satellite, assess the problem, and fix it. Alex felt a thrill of anxiety. He had repaired systems before, but this was different. The satellite was in orbit, isolated and dangerous if handled incorrectly. And he would not be alone. Lyra would be by his side, observing, questioning, and judging every step. When he arrived at the docking bay, Lyra was already there, waiting. She moved gracefully among the engineers preparing the shuttle, her eyes scanning the equipment with calm authority. Alex approached, trying to appear confident, though his hands trembled slightly. "Are you ready, Alex?" Lyra asked, her tone gentle but firm. Alex swallowed. "Yes, I think so. Let's do this." Lyra nodded, and they boarded the shuttle. The launch was smooth, and soon the shuttle was gliding through the vacuum of space, leaving the station behind. Outside the windows, stars stretched endlessly, glittering against the dark void. Alex tried to focus on the controls, but he kept sneaking glances at Lyra. She looked calm, composed, as if space itself posed no challenge to her. When they arrived, at the satellite, the problem was immediately visible. Sparks flickered along the exterior panels, and a faint smoke wafted from one of the modules. Alex's heart raced. He had dealt with malfunctions before, but this was on a scale that felt dangerous. One wrong move could make the situation worse, or even put them in danger. Lyra stepped beside him, observing. "Alex, explain your plan before you begin." Alex took a deep breath, recalling their previous discussions. "First, I will secure the module to prevent further damage. Then I'll isolate the affected circuits. Once the system is stable, I will check for misaligned conduits or damaged connectors. After that, I will repair or replace faulty components and run a test. If everything works, I'll recalibrate the module and restore communication links." Lyra nodded slowly. Logical, precise human. Alex smiled faintly. "Yes, that's me." They exited the shuttle and entered the satellite through a maintenance hatch. The interior was tight, metallic, and humming with failing energy systems. Sparks flew occasionally from the damaged module, casting brief shadows on the walls. Alex's hands moved quickly, guided by experience as he began isolating the circuits. Lyra followed closely, asking questions, observing every action but never interfering. "Why do you start with isolation?" she asked quietly. "To prevent further damage," Alex explained without looking up. "If I work on the module while it's still active, it could short-circuit other systems. Isolation protects the satellite and ensures I can repair safely." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Efficiency, caution, and logic. I see why humans value practical steps. Yet there is also courage in entering a damaged satellite in orbit." Alex chuckled nervously. "I didn't think of it as courage. I just focus on the task." Lyra's eyes softened. "That focus is admirable. Calm under pressure, even in unfamiliar environments." Hours passed as Alex worked, carefully repairing the module. Lyra asked questions at each stage, not as a teacher, but as someone genuinely curious about his thought process. He explained why he replaced certain components, why he recalibrated the sensors, and why he monitored power flow carefully. At one point, a small spark shot out from a misaligned connector. Alex froze for a split second, then adjusted the module quickly. Lyra watched silently. "You reacted quickly," she noted. "Without hesitation, without panic." Alex laughed softly. "I guess experience helps. And I wanted to make sure we didn't make things worse." Lyra smiled faintly. "Your honesty and skill are rare. Most beings would panic, argue, or hesitate. You adapt and act. That is impressive." Finally, after several hours of careful work, Alex ran the final test. Lights on the module stabilized, the hum of power became steady, and the communications Array showed full connectivity. The satellite was fully operational again. Lyra stepped closer, observing the results. Well done, Alex. You handled this with skill, patience, and calm reasoning. You have earned trust. My trust. Alex blinked, in surprise. Trust, really? Yes, Lyra said, her voice gentle but firm. Trust is not given lightly in my species. Most beings must prove themselves over time. You have done so in one mission. That is remarkable. Alex felt a rush of pride and relief. He had feared failure, feared embarrassment, feared judgment. But instead he had earned respect and trust, and from Lyra no less. Thank you, he said softly. I wanted to do my best. Lyra's gaze softened. And you did. That is all I ask. Skills and honesty combined are powerful. You have shown both. As they prepared to return to the station, Alex felt a new sense of confidence. He realized that mistakes and nervous moments could be turned into opportunities. Honesty, effort, and courage could build bridges between beings from completely different worlds. The journey back to the station was calm. Alex and Lyra spoke about human culture, alien traditions, and the differences in thinking between their species. Alex explained human humor, music, and the importance of shared experiences. Lyra shared stories of her world, their festivals, their values, and the complexity of diplomatic life. Alex listened intently, fascinated by the way her mind worked. You, humans are surprising, Lyra said at one point. You combine emotion with logic in ways that are unusual. It is refreshing. Alex smiled. And you ceruleans are fascinating too. Calm, precise, thoughtful. I've never met anyone like you. Lyra's eyes softened, and she tilted her head. That is mutual. Our cultures are different, yet our understanding grows with communication. That is valuable. When they returned to the station, the council praised their work. Alex received a commendation for technical skill, and Lyra's presence added weight to the recognition. But more important to Alex was the quiet acknowledgement from Lyra. Her eyes met his across the room, and a small smile passed between them. A silent acknowledgement of trust, understanding, and mutual respect. Later that evening, Alex returned to the observation room. The station was quiet, the stars outside calm and steady. Lyra entered shortly after, carrying a tablet and a small device for the next mission. You did well today, Alex, she said softly. Not just in repair, but in thought, communication, and honesty. I trust you more now than I expected. Alex laughed quietly. I didn't think trust could be built this quickly. It can, Lyra said. When honesty, skill, and courage align, trust grows. That is how relationships, friendships, partnerships, alliances begin. Alex felt a warm glow in his chest. He had feared embarrassment, failure, and judgment. Instead, he had found respect, understanding, and trust, and it was all because he had been honest even when it had been awkward. I'm glad I met you, he said softly. Lyra's smile was faint but meaningful. As am I, Alex. You are unusual among humans, and that is remarkable. They sat in silence for a few moments, watching the stars. The hum of the station was distant, peaceful. Alex realized that this mission had changed something inside him. He had learned that honesty, effort, and courage could create bonds that were stronger than fear or embarrassment. He thought back to the moment he had accidentally spoken his thoughts, aloud about Lyra. What had seemed like a disaster had become the start of a friendship, of trust, and of something extraordinary. And as the stars outside glimmered in the quiet, Alex understood that sometimes mistakes were not failures. They were the first steps toward understanding, connection, and even something greater. The next week on the station brought a challenge unlike anything Alex had faced before. A sudden meteor shower had damaged the outer panels of the station, causing minor but critical malfunctions in life support systems and docking modules. The council called an emergency meeting, and Alex, now recognized for his skill and courage, was asked to lead the technical team for repairs. Lyra volunteered to accompany him, insisting that she wanted to observe and assist. Alex's heart raced. After everything that had happened over the past days, his accidental words, the trust they had built, and the intense work together, he was both nervous and eager. He had grown used to Lyra's calm presence, but every moment with her carried a weight of anticipation. Her eyes, focused and curious, always seemed to see beyond the surface. "Alex," Lyra said as they prepared their equipment, "this situation requires both skill and judgment. You have demonstrated both before. Remember, honesty in thought and action will guide you." Alex nodded. "I'll do my best." Lyra's soft smile reassured him. "I know you will." The team suited up in protective gear, preparing to go outside the station for the repairs. The corridors buzzed with activity as engineers and technicians gathered tools, monitoring systems, and mapping out the damaged areas. Alex felt the familiar tension of responsibility, but also the excitement of working closely with Lyra once again. As they floated toward the exterior of the station, Alex explained his plan. "We'll split into 2 teams. I'll handle the life support modules. You can check the docking systems and external panels. We'll stay in constant communication and support each other if any unexpected issues arise." Lyra nodded. Logical. Safety and efficiency combined. Good planning. The first module Alex approached was a life support panel that controlled air circulation for half the station. Sparks flickered from exposed circuits, and a faint hiss of escaping air reminded him of the stakes. He carefully isolated the module, then began assessing the damage. Lyra nearby monitored the docking systems, occasionally calling out advice or suggestions. Alex was impressed by her knowledge of station systems. She had learned quickly, and her observations were always precise. Yet she never took over. She let him work, asking questions and guiding when necessary. "This panel has a misaligned regulator," Alex explained over the comm link. "If I adjust it now, we can restore airflow to the sector, but I need to double-check the secondary conduits first." "Agreed," Lyra replied. "Your caution is human, precise, yet careful. That is admirable." Alex smiled faintly. Her praise no longer made him flustered. Instead, it motivated him. He worked efficiently, replacing damaged connectors, recalibrating sensors, and stabilizing the module. Suddenly, a spark shot out from a nearby conduit, startling Alex. He reacted instantly, securing the panel and preventing further damage. Lyra's voice came over the comlink. "You adapted quickly. That is impressive. Calm under pressure even when unexpected problems arise." Alex nodded, focusing on his task. "Experience helps, and I don't want to fail." Lyra's eyes softened, though he could not see them clearly through her helmet. "Failure is a part of learning. Courage is in trying despite the risk." Hours passed as they repaired multiple modules. Alex's hands moved with precision, guided by experience and careful thought. Lyra assisted with complex adjustments on docking systems, her questions thoughtful and her observations sharp. Together, they restored the station to full functionality, the hum of machinery steady and reassuring once again. After completing the final module, Alex floated back toward the airlock, exhausted but exhilarated. Lyra followed, her movements graceful even in zero gravity. "You did well today, Alex," she said softly. "Not just technically, but in leadership, problem-solving, and honesty. You have earned not only my respect, but my trust fully." Alex felt his chest swell. Trust. Respect. Words he had never associated with himself in the past now felt earned and real. "Thank you, Lyra. I couldn't have done this without your guidance and insight." Lyra shook her head. "You did the work. I observed, advised, and asked questions. You acted, adapted, and succeeded. That is human courage." Alex laughed softly, the tension of the past week melting. I guess it is. They returned to the station, floating toward the docking bay. The stars outside shimmered as if celebrating their success. Inside, the crew cheered quietly at the restored systems. Alex felt a quiet pride, not just in the repairs but in the teamwork, understanding, and connection he had built with Lyra. Later, in the observation room, Alex removed his helmet, letting his hair fall loosely around his face. Lyra followed, setting her tablet aside and watching him quietly. The room was calm, the stars outside endless. "Alex," Lyra began, her voice gentle, "these past days have been revealing. You have shown me honesty, courage, adaptability, and intelligence. But more than that, you have shown me something human, something I did not understand before. And it is remarkable." Alex felt a warmth spread through him. He had expected technical praise, maybe acknowledgement for skill, but this was deeper. I never thought I could impress someone like you, he admitted. Lyra's eyes softened. "You do not need to impress me. You need only be yourself. That is more than enough." Alex smiled, the weight of embarrassment from days before fading completely. He realized that honesty, effort, and courage were more valuable than perfect words or flawless actions. Lyra had seen him for who he was and accepted it. For a long while they sat together, speaking quietly about their experiences, sharing observations and learning from each other. Alex explained human traditions, simple joys, and the importance of shared moments. Lyra shared stories from Cerulia about honor, responsibility, and the complexity of her diplomatic life. They laughed quietly at differences, marveled at similarities, and discovered that despite their species' differences, they shared fundamental values: honesty, courage, and a desire to understand. As the station lights dimmed for the evening, Alex felt a sense of calm he had never known. The embarrassment of speaking his thoughts about Lyra's appearance seemed distant now. What had started as an awkward mistake had become the foundation for trust, understanding, and mutual respect. Lyra tilted her head, her eyes reflecting the starlight outside. "Alex, you are unusual among humans. Honest, brave, and willing to act despite uncertainty. That combination is extraordinary. I am grateful to know you." Alex's chest tightened with emotion. "Lyra, I feel the same way. You've shown me patience, curiosity, and respect, and you've made me feel like being myself is enough." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. That is more than enough." For the first time, Alex realized that their bond had grown into something neither of them had expected. It was not just professional, not just about skills or knowledge. It was about trust, understanding, and the courage to be honest, even when it was difficult. The stars outside the observation window twinkled silently, as if acknowledging the connection forming between them. Alex felt a sense of purpose and excitement for the days ahead. He knew that challenges would continue to come, but he also knew that with honesty, effort, and trust, he and Lyra could face anything together. "Thank you," Alex whispered, almost to himself, yet Lyra heard. "For what?" she asked softly. "For seeing me, for understanding me, for trusting me." Lyra's eyes softened and she reached out to rest her hand lightly on his arm. "And for showing me what it means to be human. That is priceless." Alex felt a warmth spread through him, a feeling of accomplishment, pride, and connection. He realized that the embarrassment he had once feared had transformed into something far greater. Mistakes, honesty, courage, they had led him to this moment. They sat together, side by side, watching the stars. The hum of the station was steady, the lights calm. Alex felt a sense of peace and understanding he had never known. He knew that their bond, built from honesty, trust, and shared experience, would endure. And in that quiet, starlit room, Alex understood a truth he had only begun to grasp: that mistakes, could become opportunities. Awkward moments could become connections, and honesty could bridge worlds. As the night continued, they spoke quietly, learning, sharing, and planning. And Alex realized that this bond, this trust, this understanding, was something extraordinary. It was a reminder that even in a galaxy full of vast distances, differences, and challenges, honesty and courage could create connections stronger than any obstacle. For Alex, the lesson was clear. Speaking his thoughts, even when risky, had led to trust, respect, and an unexpected bond with Lyra. And that bond, born from a single unfiltered moment, was now the most valuable thing he had ever known.